Thanks for joining in to ExpandAbilities with me. It's Alex here,
And this is Rob.
and we appreciate you guys tuning in this week. We are going to be talking about mental health and athletics, the importance behind it. We're also going to talk about some stories correlating to what we've experienced in the past, and I guess what the future is, what the future can be, and how we can help prepare that future for better success among athletes moving forward.
So, so Alex, what does the future look like in mental
Well,
health?
the future in mental health, specifically the athletics, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
why not? That's what hey, we're both coaches, aren't
we are indeed. So ultimately, the future is athletes just want to be heard. They want to be heard. They want to feel included. They want to feel like they're a part of something greater than themselves. That's why they participate in sports to begin with, right?
we? Yeah, but I mean, you talk about them being heard. Coaches, they're yelling at them. So, are they hearing the coaches?
Well, and that's the thing. Coaches need to be educated. We're at a pivotal time in society where coaches play a huge role in their athletes' lives. They're role models. They're there for them through thick and thin. Sometimes, majority of times, they're in their lives more than their parents during the athletic season. Am I right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Not only do they spend time with them on the field, but they spend time with them in the classrooms, in the hallways. So throughout the day, especially during the end season, they're with them majority of the time.
I mean, yeah, because you got to even think that like some of these seasons, like for football, it's 6 months long, especially that's without going to playoffs. Your wrestling season's about 6 months long, and it just goes through all. You miss a lot of holidays if you're at the professional level and or college level. You're missing a lot of specific events.
Spread out,
You're
spread out. So this is Alex. This is something that we go through like all the time,
It's because I talk
right?
too fast. We both talk too fast. It's not just me.
Right, right. But
But
yeah, you talked about how the rest of the season is so long. It is extremely long season.
it's a
So it's
grind.
definitely it's a grind. And these students they're going through challenges. They're going through challenges.
Like, what could those challenges be, though? Explain them. Let's hear it.
So think about a wrestler waking up in the morning. Whatever time they wake up for the school day, they get to school. Now, the first thing, let's say they came in late for school. I'm sure you had experience with that, Alex. So they,
We all
they
have. I
right,
was
they
I
come
was
in,
the one I was the one that was early though. To be early is on time. As Vince
right,
Lombardi says.
right. So they come to the classroom late. And the first thing their teacher says, "Hey, where's your pass? Why are you late?" You know what? And the teacher has no idea what could have made that student late. Rather, hey, they have to get their sibling up for school. It's just them two getting themselves each other up in the morning because their parent, maybe they come from a one parent home. So right now we're putting a lot of stress. That stress is already on that child before he or she even gets to school. Now once they're at school, they have to go through each class of the day. Then they have to get on the field. They have to worry about the expectations of the coaches. And then as soon as when they get home, guess what? They still have to do their chores, homework. So that's a lot of mental stress, a lot of stress on the young person.
You could say kind of they feel overworked,
Yeah,
right? And then
without
it's
getting paid.
overworked without getting paid. Exactly. And even if they want a job, they realize that athletics is way more important. They want a scholarship. I'm assuming we're talking about high school students, right?
Sure, of course. Yeah,
Yeah. So they could want a job. They could want some type of volunteer opportunity. Maybe they want something to put on their resume because nowadays everything's a competition. But
right.
they're so centered on their sport where it gets away from them. And they have so much to focus on. And obviously they have home responsibilities. They have everything that they feel like they have to do that they maybe sometimes don't feel in control of.
Right.
And with athletics, the coaches are going to be their support system. Their teammates are going to be their support system. But are they really putting forth all the effort on the field, on the court, wherever that may be, if they're stretching themselves too thin? And then
Yeah,
are they even speaking up?
Right, right. And that's where, as you just mentioned about the coaches, that's where the coaches have to step in. They have to kind of recognize some of these triggers that are going on with these students. Whether the trigger could be, hey, little Joey's over there in the corner, or Sandy's Sandy's not, something's on Sandy's mind. So what do we do? Are we just going to go straight to, hey, Sandy, you need to pick it up, or we're going to try to recognize there's something deeper that's going on with Sandy.
Exactly. And that's the thing. And well, in high school, they're more involved in their athletes' lives per se, right? They could practice 6 times a week at most, maybe even more. Who knows?
Right.
At the youth levels and the community sports recreation levels, could be a few practices a week, right? But it's really hard to understand that athlete's situation in its entirety, unlike high school. Because high school, a lot of times they're participating in school sanctioned sports. You have the documented IEP, 504, you know how they are in school, right? And so you can kind of predict, like, okay, we kind of know what they're going through. And so it kind of gives you more of a backstory where if you're just getting an athlete for the first time in a community sports program, you don't know a lot about them. So you have to try to learn them through and through, right?
Oh yeah, of course. They have to not only learn about the athlete, they have to learn, their situation,
Absolutely. And
understand their situation, understand some of their background without prying. Of course, we don't want to pry in someone else's life,
no, a
in
lot of it
their
could be
livelihood.
observational.
Exactly, exactly. And man, what can we do? How can we support them? Those are some of the things coaches should be asking themselves. I'm sure there are great coaches out there that are asking themselves that, and they want more information. They want to learn. They want to know, hey, we need to meet this head on. How can we get in front of this as coaches? Because there's a lot of great coaches out there doing the best they
Absolutely.
can.
Absolutely.
But what more can we do? No, that's the thing. What more can we do?
Will it ever be enough? Because I think that's the question that a lot of coaches think now is like we got to take all these tests, we have to get certified in specific areas already. So what's the point of adding more to it if I just want to coach my kid? And I think the answer is simple is we're protecting athletes.
Right.
We are their point of contact. Parents trust them with us. And that's what's hard, being both of us being in coaching roles. It's hard to manage 50 kids. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. I mean, I'm sure you do too. I mean,
Yeah.
when we coached together, we
Well,
had to manage a ton of kids, and it was
a
it
ton of
was
ton of kids, ton of situations,
tons of
right?
situations, some unexpected too.
So unexpected. Hey, I do now.
I know how to deal with it now. But before that, it's like, how do we deal with this? And just learning to adapt.
Yeah.
And I honestly, like as coaches, that's the best thing we could do is just
Right.
learning to adapt to the situation that we're given because we
Right.
can't predict anything. We're not going to control everything. That's the thing is coaches want to control things. And I feel like control is a bad word for it. I prefer the term handle it. We want to handle the
Yeah.
situation. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
You know what? I'm sorry, Steppo. One thing I always like to say, I want to work with these students. Um, I don't want to do anything for them. I want them to really be a part of whatever solution there is. Whether, hey, how are we going to work towards? How are we going to move forward? How are we going to do this? Or how are we going to do that? So we want to continue to try to work with these coaches, work with the students, work with the athletes to
and
make them more
meet them
informed.
where they're at. Meet them where they're
Right?
at.
Yes.
Because no two athletes, no two students, no two people are going to be the same. You got to try to take them on by their strengths and not by their
Right.
weaknesses and try to help them master the craft of what they're there to do.
Yep. Yep. Hey, I'm gonna get off topic for a second. Is that all right?
Go for it. Absolutely.
Dude, I
It's
think I
usually
need to shave.
it's
I
usually
need to
what we do.
shave. Yeah.
You need a shave
I
right
need to
now?
shave, yeah. Well, not right now, but I think at the next time, next
You'll
week,
be looking different.
I'm gonna look different. I'm gonna look different. I'm gonna have to go into a different room too.
clean shaven face, new room. You're gonna feel like a whole new man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Maybe I'll wear a hat next time and look all grungy.
So Alex, you mentioned, everybody's just learning that hey, we used to coach together, but last year was your first time as a head wrestling coach. How was that for you?
It was a lot, and I'm sure like you and I talk about it a lot too. It's we started with about 63 kids, and it was
Holy
just
crap!
it was just me. And so, I'm trying to take on the role, which I'm sure a lot of coaches are overwhelmed when they see those kinds of numbers and they don't have as much help. So,
Right,
it kind of makes you think like, what's the best way I can handle the situation? Because I know I'm not going to be able to control a ton of middle schoolers. That's just not going to happen. Not in today's day and
impossible.
age. Yeah, oh yeah, they're
Sure.
middle schoolers. They got an attitude, and we're there to help them develop the skills to improve at the sport, right?
Yeah, yeah.
While also teaching life skills. And that's kind of what I've adopted as a coach. A lot of what I learned from you actually was like you could teach life through teaching the sport because
Right.
there's a lot of correlations between both of them. But to answer your question, I mean, it felt like a long season. I know my season compared to yours
A
is
long season. Oh,
my season
Alex,
for those
six
listening.
weeks.
Yeah, my season's about
Six
6
weeks.
weeks. Rob's is
That's
like 6
crazy.
months.
Right.
So, yeah, yeah. But my team is significantly larger. So,
Yeah.
it's different. It's different. The resources
Yeah.
are
So it's larger, so you need less time, right? Six
absolutely.
weeks.
That's how it
That doesn't
works.
make any sense.
So, if,
That's bad.
yeah, so if I have 100 kids, I think it has to go down to 4 weeks. Maybe that's
Yeah.
how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
That's not right.
well, hey, how about for you? You had your first state champion last year, and
Yeah, hey,
now
it,
this
it
year,
that was great. So no, 2 years ago, so that person you were there when he was a sixth grader, right?
seventh,
He was
seventh.
seventh grade.
Yep.
Okay, seventh grade was your first year with him, and we recognized some challenges that he had
Athletically, mentally, physically,
athletically and mentally, and those challenges. So
emotionally.
what? Yeah, emotionally. So those were the things that we had to work on with him. We worked together with him, and he was able to get through that. And the following season, he became a state champ. And then this past year, we had outstanding season. Had six state qualifiers and five state placers. Amazing, amazing job
And you didn't
for
really know,
them.
you didn't even really know what to expect going into it. You had a lot of new faces, you had some returning.
Some returning, new faces, and we have one of our wrestlers. He had a lot of emotional challenges, a lot of diagnoses that I learned throughout the season, and I had to learn um, how to work with him, through those challenges.
So I guess when it comes to working with these athletes, everyone pictures athletics as being like middle school isn't that hard, right? What do you have to say against that? Because I know I have an opinion, but like when people start to gravitate towards high school athletics, it's like middle school's too easy. It's not my style. What's your response to that?
I feel that middle school is where we can really start to shape the person, really start to work with them to be young people, young women, young men, not only in the sport of wrestling, in the sport of life. No, life is a challenge each day. Each person, even the person that they're competing against, is going through something. So if we can get in front of that, we can start to hit home, and coaches can start to, hey, recognize, hey, hey, we need to take a left turn. We need to take a right turn here or a left turn, and we can't do everything the same. Each person's different. So when a person says, "Hey, middle school is too easy," I challenge that because once a person gets in high school, especially sophomore, junior, senior year, they're done learning. I mean, they're in their way. They are in how they are going to be. Hopefully they're not done finished learning. But as far as what they're going to take in, hey, we can get them right now as junior high students. That's how I feel.
Absolutely. No, I mean, I'm the same way because I think middle school, you make the most impact. High school, I agree with you. High school's in their way. I mean, that's just how I feel. I know that not everybody feels that way. Some people prefer to teach and coach older kids. Cool. Awesome. I'm in the same boat. I mean, I love working with all types of ages, and I fortunate enough to do so. I know you are too. But when it comes to middle school athletics, and that what really gets overlooked is sure, they got pimples and their voices are changing and they're constantly getting taller, but
A lot of changes.
a lot of bodily changes, and which is very confusing for them, which is why
Right.
maybe the attitude comes out. Maybe we finally figured out early adolescent years or the tween years, right?
Sure.
But if you think about it, as their body changes, their minds change too. And as they're learning more about themselves, they're learning more about themselves mentally and emotionally. And it's such an important time. And I don't know about you, but I was done growing in about eighth grade. So I was pretty much the guy you see here without the beard
Yeah.
though at eighth
Sure.
grade. So I'm like, when you think of like in high school, you're pretty much there, with the
Hey,
exception of a few.
yeah, Alex, I'm not sure if I told you before, but eighth grade, I was 5'10", and I weighed 150 pounds. I was a big kid in eighth grade. And I was ninth grade, I was kind of the big kid in ninth grade. By the time I got to junior year, hey, he's the wide receiver. He's not the big kid.
He's a small
He's the
kid
runner.
now.
He's the middle kid. So everyone caught up to me, um, which is fine.
Yeah,
It was great. However, I was able to make my niche, or people know who I was early, so help me hang on to what I felt I earned. Uh, but some kids, they won't be able to get over that. Some kids shy away from sports because they're small, or they're tiny. They think they can't compete. The next thing you know, by the time they're a junior, they're taller than a lot of their classmates when they
six
were in eighth
five,
grade.
six
Yeah,
five, 6'6", they're growing
sure,
up there.
sure.
But they also learn a lot more in their sport. Maybe you're right. Like maybe they weren't athletic, but then they are, or maybe a lot of kids don't start playing sports until high school. Personal reasons, maybe their parents don't want them to. I don't know.
Right.
It's really a personal preference, but I always encourage kids to kind of start planning and start getting involved a little early because not only for the athletic aspect, but because it gives you the opportunity to be a part of something greater than yourself, and it gives you a hobby. That's how I see it.
Sure, especially skill sports like baseball, wrestling, tennis, swimming. Those
Swimming, yeah.
individuals, those individual sports, they really need to start early if they really want to, compete at the highest level. But starting early, what does that do to the student, to the athlete? Now they're putting a lot of pressure is on them early.
You
So
are.
how, yeah. So how will coaches handle that? Handle the pressure of you want a great athlete to be able to compete, but now you have parents over you making sure that, hey, you're not showing them the techniques that I want you to show them. How can a coach do that and also be mindful of, hey, what's going on with my athlete mentally, physically, emotionally? So we want to make sure that coach is touching all those things, you know, having an eye being aware of all those things that could happen with the students and athletes.
A lot of times it's
And
unexpected.
yeah, and I apologize to everyone. I always say student. I work in the school, and I'm saying student athletes. So forgive me if I touch on someone that's actually not in the school because hey, this is what we're doing here is for everyone.
And that's the difference. Like Rob's in the school, I'm not in the school, but we're both very involved in athletics within our specific school districts. And so it just kind of shows that anybody can get involved. And I'm saying that because we're in desperate need of more coaches, people who want to impact lives, who want to help, who want to help coach kids to be the best player, but also the best person that they can be. Always
Right.
looking for coaches, volunteers. I'm sure there's paid positions elsewhere. But I mean, it's a huge task, and that's why a lot of people shy away from it. I understand, especially if you don't have a kid involved. But I think it's an opportunity that you will never want to pass on the minute you start doing it.
Right.
So I can only speak highly about it. I know Rob can too, and I don't want to just speak for you, but I mean, obviously you've been doing it for about 30 years, so it's it's it's
So
something to
right. And just for those of that you guys don't know, that's a little jab that he gave to me.
it's an old yeah. That's why he wants to shave his beard so the white
Right.
hairs don't show.
It's showing. It's showing. Otherwise, I would go back to Nashville.
Yeah.
Nashville was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, Rob and I took a trip to Nashville, experienced some live music. And which is also brings me to a point as a player or coach or anybody, as a rec therapist, after working in a hospital setting, I've always preached self-care, 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 self-care. That's what it was, Nashville. I know it sounds like a big old party, but
No,
no,
it was self-care time.
it's self-care. Listen to live music, experiencing something different, going on a trip, getting out of your comfort zone. That's exactly what it is. And even if you are an athlete in a sport, if you're a coach actively coaching in a sport, it's important to have that thing that gets you away from your everyday life, whether that be just closing your eyes and meditating and thinking about being on an island somewhere, or going for a walk while listening to music or playing an instrument or something like that. Self-care is so important, and so many people just don't think about that. It's like it's just work, school, sports. Work, school, sports. Work, school, sports. Throw some sleep in there somewhere too. And
Yeah.
that's it. But that's my big pitch is for anybody listening. It's just take some time for yourself.
Yep. Yeah. Well, it looks like
Rob,
we're running out of time.
we are running out of time indeed. I just want to thank everyone for joining in to ExpandAbilities Meets. It's a pleasure to bring this to you guys, and we're excited to keep doing this, bringing awareness to mental health, specifically in athletics, giving our 2 cents and some stories that kind of back what we're talking about. Since we are coaches, we are actively coaching, and we are in the mental health field. Um, Constantly wanting to impact as many lives as we can. And that's ultimately the big goal with all this. And that's why we co-created a certification called the Expandabilities Coach Certification. You can find it at expandabilities.com. You can also find it in the uh, info with this video. So give it a look. It's a great plan for coaching staffs and for individuals wishing to expand their knowledge with coaching and mental health, specifically in the neurological disorder setting, because it gives you more of an idea of what to expect and how to better handle emotional situations when they occur within your athletic environment. So again, thank you, and we look forward to doing this next time.
Yep. And I'm Rob, and
I'm
that
Alex.
is,
Alex,
and nice meeting you.
nice meeting you.